Hello everyone. So for this lecture we will be talking about how to write chapter 1 of your research, particularly the problem and its background. So disclaimer muna tayo before I proceed. In your university, you have a specific guidelines on what are included or the subtopics or subchapters included in chapter 1. So you might as well ask your advisor or research teacher on what are the contents inside chapter 1 or in your chapter 1. But for this lecture, siguro meron din kayong konting parts or may ilang aspect that you can use in your in the writing of your chapter 1. So in Polytechnic University of the Philippines, we are having chapter 1 that includes introduction, and then that will be followed by theoretical paradigm, conceptual paradigm, and then statement of the problem, hypothesis and assumption, and significance of the study. Okay? So, I hope in this lesson you were able to at least somehow get or generate few tips on how you will write those parts. Okay? So, let us proceed. So, in the introduction of your research, remember, introduction is the part of your research paper kung saan binabasa siya ng readers. So, in order for you to have a very good introduction, there are a few tips that you can include, okay, or you need to consider. Remember also that introduction motivates your reader to read your papers. If not, pag inantok na sila sa introduction, then definitely in the latter pages or later parts of your research paper, hindi na nila yung papansinin. Okay? So for the introduction is not about your title, but rather a paragraph that is side-headed, meaning after ng chapter 1, introduction, the problem and its background na label, ma-sidehead ka na, ma-enter ka, and then left, introduction ng word, and then enter ulit another paragraph about your introduction. So, in this part, it does not only signify the importance of the topic, but how your reader will generate or will gain from your paper. So remember, in research, the introduction details the purpose of your study. So you have to establish why is it that your study is important to the field that you are majoring with. So the research also offers a justification for the study. Bakit kailangan mag-conduct ng study na yon? And it defines the research objectives. So kung meron kang 4 na research objectives, 2 na descriptive, isang correlational at isang inferential, kailangan mong ma-emphasize sa introduction mo kung bakit kailangan merong inferences and correlates in your variable. So, papalabasin mo siya doon sa introduction. So, also, it begins with background information. When we say background information regarding the problem of under investigation, ano yung problem ano yung condition or ano yung problem na prevalent in your locale. So, when I say locale, yung lugar na pinag-aaralan mo. So, example, you might want to start from big to small, meaning from international context to national, regional, and your local situations. Kung saan, sasabihin mo dito yung summary of everything. So, summary about your problem. Example is the linguistic competence of Filipinos ngayon. So, from big to small, meaning in a bigger context, what is the language performance of Filipinos in terms of international assessment? So you have to include it here in your introduction. From international, you can include PISA or the performance or the international assessment na pinaparticipate ni Philippines. And you can also include the recent context about regional and national conditions of the learners related to your study. So here, it provides you with a brief information about the summary of relevant literature and researches related to your study. So, kailangan mo ditong bigyan yung perspective kung bakit kailangan nilang basahin yung papel mo. And it narrows down from big to small about everything that will help you, your reader, be demystified about your topic. Okay? So here, ang introduction mo, don't mind the dissertation here. The introduction of your research should provide preliminary background information. Nabanggit ko na siya kanina, you have to give everything about the background of your study. Okay? And then you will clarify the focus of your study. Dito ka lang. Huwag ka nang lalayo. So, doon ka lang sa focus na yun. So, limbawa, academic performance in science, huwag mo nang lagyan na academic performance in mathematics, in English, in Filipino. Okay? So, be clarified and be conscious about your focus. And you have to specify your overall research aim. So, what is the aim of your entire paper? And then individual objectives. And then you have to include also the value of your research. Bakit importante itong research na to in your locale and in the regional, national, and international contexts. Okay? And then in introduction, the guidelines are in writing the introduction are the following. The first paragraph po is a mental warm-up. When I say mental warm-up, you may define first something about your study. So, limbawa, your study is about health and hygiene of Filipino preschool learners. So, what is health? What is hygiene? And what's the importance of health and hygiene to preschool learners? So, that should be included in your first paragraph. So, binibigyan mo ng konting readiness yung readers sa first paragraph pa lang. And as well as it justifies why is it that we have, as a reader, we have to continue reading your paper. Okay? So, yun. The second paragraph naman includes the bulk of your introduction. Dito na madami na yung laman neto. So, here, this is reference of the entire introduction kung saan you will tell the readers the scope and coverage of your study. When I say scope, bakit itong kailangan mong aralin? Hanggang saan yung aaralin mo? Bakit this particular year mo siya aralin? And then, i-explain mo din why is it yung variable 1 mo is affected by variable number 2 at yung variable number 3 are the result of the interaction between variable number 1 and number 2. Okay? So, nasa second paragraph yon. In the third paragraph is the closing portion. Pero remember, children, that pwedeng maraming paragraph. Minimum of 4 paragraph, maximum of 4 pages. So, the last paragraph is the closing portion that intrigue you or challenge your reader to continue reading your study and to know better about the result of your study. So in here, you will tell the audience, the readers, what prompted you to conduct the study. When I say what prompted you as a researcher, sino or ano yung dahilan bakit gusto nyong aralin yon. Okay? So remember, it is one or more sentences that link first, second, and third paragraph together. So, halimbawa, as an education student, you are interested of knowing the quality of literacy or the literacy level ngayon among ITAs of this group, of these barangays, so that you can help them and blah, blah, blah. Okay? And compare it with other ITAs ngaya available in other localities or communities as well. So, yun yun. I have a separate lecture for the theoretical paradigm or theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So, let us proceed with the statement of the problem. So, statement of the problem is one of the most important part of your research kasi yung title nyo ay hinihimay-himay sa statement of the problem. When we say hinihimay is pinapalawak pa siya. So, example ng title ninyo is the effects of differentiated instruction to the reading performance of grade 7 students. Okay? So, that is your title. You should expect that in your in your statement of the problem, your title should be subdivided into a logical statement of the problem. When I say logical, may pasunod-sunod. Okay, so the effects of differentiated instruction. So in the reading performance of grade 7 learners. So pag himayin mo yon, ano yung SOP or statement of the problem number 1 mo? That should be followed by SOP number 2. And ang last nun ay dapat yung effects, which is the output or the outcome of your study. Okay? So, remember, everything that you include in the statement of the problem should be categorically answered. Meaning, lahat siya ay nasasagot. Okay? Ang critical parts ng pag-aaral natin or in conducting research is how you craft your research problem. Okay? Kasi kung mali ang research problem mo, mali ang pagkakabigay din ng suggestion or correction ng research advisor or mentor mo, ekes ka na agad. Pag sinabing ekes, mali na agad ang kalalabasan ng study mo. Okay? So remember, you have to provide a well-written statement of the problem. Okay? If you're not satisfied with the way I presented the statement of the problem here, the suggestions, pwede man kayong tumingin sa internet and look for samples nila. There are various research papers in Google Scholar, that's almost millions already. So you can check their research problem for you to be guided. Okay? So that aside from being guided, you can have a better or correct or best way to write your problem statement. So the guidelines here is, the first one is you have to state it in general and specific. When I say general, di ba may statement of the problem kayong heading or label. This study will be aimed kung proposal, the future tense pa, or past tense if tapos na, is aimed to determine the effects of. So, one sentence yon or more than a sentences. So, yun yung general problem. Specifically, doon na yung specific problem natin. Specifically, it will answer the following. So, yun na yung specific problem mo. Number 1, so yun na yung number 1 mo is the sub-problems or specific problems. So here, lahat siya ay laging interrogatory. Aside from or except general problem. Yung specific problem is interrogatory form, meaning naka-question mark siya at the end of the sentence. Okay? So, it must ask a question and sub-problem following the main problem. So, the problem should be stated in action word. So, examine, analyze, determine, measure, assess, evaluate, recommend, find out is an example of general problem. Specific question is WH and H. So, example is, what is the performance or the reading performance? Number 1 niya, ang general problem mo is ganito. This study is aimed to determine the effects of the use of differentiated instruction to the reading performance of grade 7 learners. Specifically, it aims to answer the following. Number 1, what is the reading performance of grade 7 learners before the use of differentiated instruction? Number 2, kung what na siya, lagyan pa natin ng specific. So, reading performance. Ano yung component ng reading performance mo? So, aralin ng reading performance, kung makahanap ka doon ng 4 na variables, halimbawa, reading performance, kunyari lang to, scanning, skimming, ganon. So magiging siyang 1.1 in terms of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, question mark. Okay? Number 2, what differentiated instruction, strategies, techniques, approaches, learning materials can be developed to improve the reading performance of grade 7 learners. So, ano yun? For the following topics, so lalagyan mo na siya ng mga subtopics. So, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. Ano yung mga topics? Pwede po yung topics na yon ay base sa curriculum guide ng subject ninyo. Okay. So, that is specific problem number 2. Specific problem number 3, gagamitan mo na siya, diba? So, what is the reading performance of the grade 7 learners after their utilization of differentiated instruction, approach, technique, / strategy, or learning materials, ganon. And then, number 4, pwede na kayong mag-how. How significant is the improvement before and after? Okay, how significant is the improvement before and after the use of differentiated instruction approach, strategies, or techniques, or learning materials in the reading performance of grade 7 learners. So, ito po ay hypothesis na to. Okay? Example, another example is this one. So, ang pinaka-general niya is, this study was conducted to investigate the aspects of teaching science, blah, blah, blah. This is the general. Specifically, the study attempted to answer the following. 1, the respondent's profile. So, 1.1 to 1.7 is the subterms or subvariables that support number 1. Okay? Number 2 is how effective are the methods, how adequate, what problems are encountered, and what suggestions are offered. Okay? So, pero ang problema dito sa sample problems ay hindi pa siya more specific, very general pa siya. How effective? To what is the extent of effectiveness? So, lalagyan mo pa siya ng sub-variables here. Okay, after the statement of the problem, it will be followed by an assumption part. Pag sinabi nating assumption, it is related to your statement of the problem and in your title, wherein it presumed that your observation or experience is true. So, it used to provide general direction to the study and does not require confirmation. Hindi ito tinetest ng assumption. Kasi assumption mo yon as a researcher. Okay? So, ang assumption natin is the limitation of the researcher in terms of their awareness. Example nito are the following. It is assumed that during this study, gender will not affect the perception of the respondent. All respondent ngaya will answer all survey questions honestly and the best of their abilities. Okay? So, dito, may mga guidelines siya. Depende sa nature of research. Okay? So, example is, how qualified are the teachers handling science? So, ang assumption mo dito is, may certain qualification ang teachers in handling science. Another example, how adequate are the facilities that a school should require before it can offer science as a subject? So, ang assumption mo dito is, there are certain required facilities that a school should acquire before offering science subject. After assumption, tingnan nyo yung assumption sa statement of the problem. Alin doon ang assumption? Yung walang test of hypothesis na statement of the problem. Okay? And next is hypothesis. So, ang hypothesis is a statement of what one expect to find. Ito yung tinetest natin sa study. A statement to be proven, an initial answer to the research question, common sense statement, expected relationship, explanation of phenomena, and statement of the pattern of behavior. So, dito, wala talaga siyang specific pattern. May mga school na naggagamit ng null, may mga school na gumagamit ng alternative hypothesis, mayroon namang school na may null hypothesis plus alternative hypothesis. So, ang null is HO, this is the negative. Alternative is the H1, which is the positive. Okay? So, tinitingnan natin, pag positive is there is A, pag negative is there is no. Example is, ang research problem is, how significant is the difference between the academic performance of the 4 groups of learners? So, ang hypothesis mo, pag null, there is no significant differences on the academic performance of the 4 groups of learners. Pag alternative, there is a significant difference between the performance of the learners. Ganon. So, remember, pwedeng effects, relationship, differences, and so on. So, nabanggit ko na to, dalawa ang hypothesis natin. Pag null, na-found mo during your computation na hindi pala na mas mataas ang tabular value kaysa sa computed value, so i-reject mo si alternative, tatanggapin mo si null. Okay? So, ganun lang yun. Pag na-reject mo si null, si alternative ang i-accept mo. Okay? Nabanggit ko na to kanina. So, in experimental investigation, hypothesis should be explicit. There is no significant differences, there is no significant effects, ano pa? There is no significant improvement on the, ganon. And hypotheses are stated in null form, unless your university uses alternative. And then, ang hypothesis ninyo ay the ones that guides you from specific question to a general interpretation. Okay. After the hypothesis, you will proceed with significance of the study. So you will list all the person, entities, individuals, offices that is affected by your study, or your study will have a significant contribution. Yung pinakamadaming contribution ang number 1, at ang pinakahulihan ay kayo as the researchers. Okay? And i-explain nyo lang dito sa significance of the study kung paano or what is the so what of your research to them. Okay? So, ang rational na to, ang guidelines na to, is dapat din-discuss nyo yung rational, timeliness, and relevance of your study. Possible solution, kagaya ng, this study ngayon is helpful for the student since the teacher will develop a learning materials addressed to the problems of the students during the blah 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 blah. Okay? And it must be shown to the individual groups or communities. Nakagrupo siya. Halimbawa, ang study ninyo is about sa grade 6 learners, meron kayo sanang significance of the study para sa DepEd, ano pa, sa TESTA, sa CHED, and so on. Okay, possible contribution of your study to the field of knowledge, and then it should discuss the implication. Okay, ito ang format. The use of the following phrases can help you express the importance. So, isusulat nyo, halimbawa, student, the result, tuldok, the result of the study could help the students realize their full potential, blah, 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 blah. The useful and relevant information acquired from the study will encourage students to continue blah blah blah. Okay, this study will encourage students to blank. And then aside from that, you can use also the following terms. The result could help benefit. It will also serve as basis in the study of. Researchers may find findings useful as, and this can help boost the blank. Okay, if you fit in nyo na lang yung madidevelop nyo. However, after the significance of the study, may scope and delimitation kayo. When we say scope and delimitation, yung boundaries ng pag-aaral nyo, hanggang saan lang. Okay? So, in terms of subjects, in terms of objectives, facilities, area, time frame, and issues. Titingnan nyo hanggang saan. Halimbawa, the scope of your study is from first grading to fourth grading. And then for what? For the period of blank, blank, blank. And it will focus only on yung nandun sa statement of the problem, yung keywords. Ang delimitation po is the weaknesses of your study. So here, they are not expected to be covered by your study. Example, this study was delimited or limited to the students of Ragay. Grade 6 students. So meaning, hindi kasali yung grade 7, grade 5, grade 3. Okay. Limited also to the use of survey questionnaire. Meaning, hindi kasali yung result, yung data na galing sa interview, galing sa test, and so on. And these are the phrases that can be used in expressing the scope. This study will focus on, the coverage of this study is blank, the study covers that, the study focuses on, it includes, it is concerned with, it also involves that, the study consists of blank. And the scope and the limitation of the study is blank, blank, blank. Okay. Meron pa tong hindi nakasama sa PowerPoint, which is about the definition of terms. Dalawang way pagsulat ng definition of terms. The first one is operational, which is the exact conceptual definition of terms, which is the actual definition of that terms. Ano yung terms? Yung mga keywords mula sa title at SOP that comes from a source, gaya ng dictionary, encyclopedia, or other studies that define the same. So, halimbawa, learning. So, ang i-define nyo is yung mga hindi na common at hindi na yung common na terms. So, i-define nyo siya doon. Kung conceptual, may source ka, i-identify mo yung source doon sa discussion. Pag operational naman is how you will use the terms in your study. Halimbawa, learners, as used in the study, it will refers to the grade 5 learners of ganitong school. Ganyan. So, that is operational definition of terms. Pwede pong magkasama ang operational at conceptual? Yes. Conceptual muna, may source, and then tuldok, tapos yung actual definition, source, tuldok, tapos yung inyong operational definition of terms. As used in this study, so as used by the researchers, in this study, this will refers to, so that is the operational definition of terms.